All right, hello everyone, it's silverkyle, and today we're going to be talking about the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 version of The Legend of Dragoon, and talk about some major bugs and arguably a game-breaking bug, depending on how you want to play this game, which is really too bad because The Legend of Dragoon, outside of like Final Fantasy, late 90s and early 2000s JRPGs that are turn-based, you're not going to get better than The Legend of Dragoon. Like, it's just so well done. For back then, the story is awesome. The lore is freaking crazy. The characters are interesting. Lavitz, I mean, a lot of people that play this game have a love for it, and it's really created a cult following, which is too bad that we're getting kind of a crummy version on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Great now that we can play it on literally every version of PlayStation. It's available on PlayStation 1 to 5, PSP, Vita. It's all there now. It's just that we got kind of shafted with the PS4 and PS5 version. Hopefully, they fix it. And I do have some ways around this as well. So, first of all, you can get this game with PlayStation Plus Premium. If you already have that, you've got that. You also have Harvest Moon Back to Nature, which I also highly recommend. And I would maybe even argue play that now before you dive into Legend of Dragoon if you haven't already. But you can also buy this game by itself for $10 US. I think it was $9.99. And if you bought the PlayStation 3 version of it years ago and you still have that PSN account, you can get it for free. So that's how I ended up getting it. I don't have PlayStation Plus Premium. I don't have PlayStation Plus at all. So I just had a free version of that and Back to Nature because I'd also bought that previously. So I was really happy that I didn't have to get their subscription to play these games. If you already have the subscription, you have these games, although Legend of Dragoon, if you've never played it before, it's not the proper way to play it because of a few different things. One of the main things that we have that's an issue is there's an audio issue where when you go to, you make your additions, which is when you're playing your turn-based game, instead of just having a regular attack, you actually have to press like X to do like a certain swipe when the meter kind of gets to like a specific square, and then you press X, or sometimes it's a circle depending on if the enemy is going to be like defending and attacking back. And so it really changes up the turn-based gameplay that we're used to, where it's just press X for attacking you and then you just wait until the attack is done. No, you're actually involved in it. And if you get really good, the additions start doing crazy amounts of damage, but it's just a longer addition where you have to constantly keep pressing at specific different times. So with that, sometimes the characters are supposed to say like harpoon, volcano, all these different things. And apparently the audio is off, where it kind of cuts off, or it doesn't, they don't say anything at all. I haven't really experienced that. Maybe a few times where they would cut off, but I also feel like this was in the original game. I don't see anybody else talking about that, so it's entirely possible that my memory is just messed up. But that's what I remember as a kid, that sometimes it would just get messed up at the time. I don't know if apparently that's not the case because nobody else is talking about that. So maybe I'm just crazy. To me, that's not a big thing. There are a few fixes to this. One of them is that you can change the audio settings on the game itself and change it from stereo to mono. And if that fixes it, change it back to stereo. And that apparently will fix it. If that doesn't do it, you can also fully shut off your PlayStation and reboot the PlayStation and the game itself. Make sure that you save beforehand, and that will fix it. But it will eventually change it after a few hours. I heard 2 hours is about how long you would be able to play the game before it starts changing it back, where it's not working anymore. And then for the audio, depending on if you grew up with the game or not, it might mean a lot to you. And I mean, I do like hearing it, but I've been playing this game for about 10 hours now. I'm at the end of disc 1 or chapter 1, and I really have not experienced a lot of audio issues at all. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, I would say that they are actually saying it. Like the full harpoon, or more and more and more, whatever the heck it is that they're saying. So I don't know about that one as much. But then the biggest one that I have experienced is that when you go into Dragoon form is kind of like Super Saiyan, essentially. You get this crazy big armor, and you're able to do different kinds of moves for your attack that do a lot more damage, but you also get magic. And that's the only way that you can use magic abilities without using a magical item. So it's a really awesome part of the game, but as soon as you use it, it usually freezes the game. Like, you'll be able to do the move, but then you're not able to go back and actually keep attacking. That's huge. That's not how the game is supposed to be played. You can still play the game without using the magic, but it's going to get really hard later on when physical damage, doesn't count for as much. Like, and there's so many, it's a lot more fun. You do a lot more damage. You can get health back by doing some of these magical moves. So it's going to be very difficult. And a lot of people are experiencing it more with Rose. Apparently you can play some other characters. I was able to use Lavitz and Dart once in a while and use magic, and it was fine, but it's very rare that you're able to do that without it freezing. Now, the way around that is that you don't use it, or if you do use it because you're trying to see if it'll work for some of the other characters. Dart seems to be the safest sometimes, but it still freezes sometimes with him too, is have a save state. So that's one of the nice things about this, is that because they added a few things, one of them being a save state, so you can just save the game wherever you are. You don't have to go to the little, like, outside on the map, or when you're in a specific area, there's like these little white saving places that you can go into that we're all used to from old school RPGs. You don't have to use those, but I still strongly recommend when you see them, still go to them and save, because if you ever have to restart everything and you don't want to use a save state, it seems as though that sometimes fixes some of the problems if you just reboot the game itself as well. So that's, that's ways around it for if the game freezes on you. You can use the rewind button to go back to a previous state where it wasn't doing that, or you can go just load a save state that you had just saved not too long ago. So there's a few different options here, but it's just unfortunate because this is such a fun game, and now we're not able to use magic in Dragoon form. Sometimes I've heard that some people are also experiencing errors when, like, it'll freeze when they go into Dragoon form. I've not experienced that. When I have the option to go into Dragoon form, I usually do it when I'm in a boss fight. Every time, I cannot think of any boss fight where I had the option of becoming a Dragoon that I didn't, and it never froze on me. It's only when I use the magic, but for some people they are experiencing that with Dragoon form as well. So in that case, just click the rewind button. I think it has like a number of 120, and I think that might be seconds maybe. So you have like 2 minutes that you can rewind without having to go back to like an actual save state for where you had previously saved it. So a lot of workarounds, but you can still technically play this game. There's some people that have played it completely, and they were able to beat the game without having to use any of the magic. So it is possible, and that's what I'm currently doing because I'm just so excited. The hype was like so high when I first heard that it was coming to the PlayStation 5 and PS4. But so I had to play it. It's just that I wish that I could obviously, use the magical abilities. Now, it does look like PlayStation is aware of it. There is this specific forum that has a bunch of bugs listed, and there is somebody from Sony, some representative that is taking care, like keeping all of them on track, and so it looks like somebody from PlayStation specifically is looking into this. I just don't know if they're going to patch it, and if they do, when it would be. Obviously, if they do and they fix all of this, then it's totally worth checking out, especially if you've never played it before or if you are a fan. That's the time to do it. Right now, I can't exactly say that if it's worth it unless you want a more difficult run, which is still sometimes fun. There are times, if you've played this game numerous times, that you have a different, like a challenge that can be kind of fun, and that's what I'm doing essentially right now. So there you go. That's everything that's been going on with the Legend of Dragoon. I just hope that they fix these problems, that a lot of people end up playing it, that we get a lot of people talking about this game, and Sony decides to actually remake this game, that we got like Final Fantasy VII. Like, that would be amazing if they did that, or at least do a full remaster, where it kind of, like Final Fantasy VII and 8 and 9, we got some nice remasters of those where it still looks like and plays like the old game, but we've got some HD, because the characters look horrible. I will say that the characters look pretty bad in this game. It's not as polished as I would say the other Final Fantasy games, especially 8 and 9, which looked especially 9 looked really good. But there you have it. It's still a really fun game, and I hope that they fix it and they eventually make a remaster, a remake, a prequel and some sequels. Because there's so much here that you could go into that I think would just be a lot of fun. So that's everything. Let me know in the comments below if you've been trying it, what bugs you've encountered, if it bothers you, if it doesn't bother you. I'm kind of in the middle. I wish, obviously, that I could use the magic forms, but I can still play the game, and so far it looks like I can beat it. I haven't run into any issues in terms of difficulty yet, but granted, I'm only in the beginning of the game. I'm a quarter done, essentially, right now. So, thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Beardage!